me a second. I think I need to move the camera a little bit. I had to plug it in and I put it off center. Okay, there we go. That's much better. So, sorry guys. I have been working on this off of battery. I do believe it is actually plugged in now. So hopefully that means the video will not go out on me. But yeah, as I've mentioned in my past couple videos, I am trying to use the camera that okay good, I'm in a good position. The camera that I normally use for my knitting and crocheting podcast I have with my mom. I'm trying for my booktube. Usually I don't use it because I don't like to mess with the zoom and stuff and change my settings. I think I found a setup that works, that I can still be as close as I like to for booktube without changing the settings on the camera itself that I use for my knitting. It's a little bit of a makeshift setup, but it seems to be working right now. The reason I don't use the other room that I do for the knitting podcast, for one thing, the light really bothers my eyes in that room. I actually probably should be wearing right now my darker glasses because I'm starting to get a little bothered by this light here, but I'm almost done anyway, so I'm just gonna work my way through it. But also, without adjusting the settings that I have on the camera, I wouldn't be as close as I like to for the booktube channel. So this seems to be working right now. Hopefully you'll find that the video quality is better than when I record off of my laptop, which from what I understand has a bit of a grainy quality. But this video here, I will be discussing some of the books I intend to read for Q4 of the Historathon and in general for the rest of the year. I don't have any strong set goals. I have some soft goals, but I'm trying to keep my really set goals as being pretty soft, just because I have a lot that I want to do this year. Actually, I'm not turning off the camera, but I'll be right back. But I don't want to end up in the position that I've been most of this year, where I kind of feel like I'm chasing, at the end of the year, I'm kind of like trying to hurry up and finish the books that I unwisely added toward like the last month. And I was just like over ambitious. I just feel like I've been having books that I either ended up putting aside for the next year, or I just have been holding books over that were from the quarter before into other quarters. But I know I can think of at least a couple books that I'll be continuing next year for like Q1, because I was just a little too optimistic, shall we say, about what I could get done. But for this quarter, I definitely have the goal to, well, first of all, finish this book that I've been reading all year. It was really nicely set up into sections of different eras. So this is Medicine and Religion by Gary B. Ferngren. It's a historical introduction, and he talks about the connection between religion and the development of medicine, and everything about medicine and religion together over the various eras. And it's nicely set up so I could break the book up for Historathon. And I am in the last part. I believe that the 19th to 20th century, I believe, is all one chapter, and then I have the epilogue. So I should be able to knock this out pretty quickly if I just read it. And I have found that to be the case. I believe that the longest era might have been Antiquity, but this is a nice book. I did have to trim my my tabs because I had them way too long. So I trimmed them, so now they're more manageable. I was still figuring out my tabbing system then. But yeah, I look forward to finishing this. This has been an enjoyable read to have all year. And yeah, I have other books that I want to read in the future. So this will be finished probably fairly early in this month. Then I have for September, October, and I didn't read this as much as September as I should have, But thankfully, November, December is a break. And what I'm discussing is, this is the David McCullough Readalong, 2024 to 2026. And this has been it's an Elder Talk and Book Zealots Readalong. Highly recommend you check out those two channels. I believe I have links to their, sorry, my hair is like in my face. Links to their videos talking about the David McCullough Readalong. I believe I have those in the description below. But this quarter, or not this quarter, September, October is the Great Bridge. It's about we're supposed to be in the Great Bridge. And like I said, there's November, December break, which I will probably be using to finish this unless I really pick up speed. This one, I will have to admit, this is not a topic that I have been particularly interested in. I know once I continue, I will really enjoy this. It's not like it's been bad. It's just not something I've been necessarily really wanting to read. I know that, you know, there is a lot of good stuff in here. David McCullough, I ended up enjoying as much as you can enjoy a book about a travesty like the Johnstown Flood. I did end up finding it to be a good read, and I know once I really get going with this, I will find the same about the Great Bridge. But I ended up stalling on this, not just because of the topic matter, but because I ended up getting sucked into Framed in September, because art history is really something that I enjoy, and the Great Bridge suffered because of it. But now that it's October, this book should go by pretty quickly. One of the things that I enjoy about David McCullough's books is a lot of times I don't have to feel like I have to argue with the books too much. I just, at least that's been my previous experience, I just feel like I can just sit there and read it. And for me, a lot of times I do argue with books when I read them. So it's kind of refreshing when I have a book that I can just read and don't feel like there's going to be much in the way of commentary that I'm going to be putting in. Not that the book is, you know, bland, or it's a lighter read for me. So that has been my experience with David McCullough thus far. That being said, I've only read his first book. I don't know if as I go through the Great Bridge, I'll find it to be different. But so far, I'm finding it to be a similar experience. I have graduated to a tabbing system where I have different tabs for things I find interesting, but I might not talk about. And then I have tabs that are, yes, I want to talk about the specific thing. And I have started using pens that mark that as well. So what I did is I put the tabs at the front of my book. I'll remove them and put them back on the tab sheet later, in the plastic later. But for as long as I'm reading this book, I have in the front of the book the tabs for the book, and then what the colors mean. And then I also have, so not necessarily in this book, but in other books, if I have a pen that corresponds with that, I also say what color pen, you know, what that means. Although usually it's the highlighter and the tab. That's usually what I end up marking, like saying what they mean. So that's been really helpful for me, because then I always have my tabs right in hand. I don't have to fumble with a bunch of tabs. They're right there. Also, I tend to keep, when I'm reading, and I know it's going to be something that I'm going to be tabbing and highlighting in, each book has a little Ziploc bag, like a little sandwich bag with the appropriate highlighters in it. Sometimes a pen, actually usually some kind of pen, whether it's colored or not, it's in there. Sometimes some sticky notes, clear sticky notes, and then it'll have a not clear sticky note that says what the book is, so I know what this collection of highlighters and stuff, which book it's for. So yes, I have a few of each kind of tabs in here already. So obviously I found something that I wanted to talk about in here. So I hope to continue / finish this, whether I do in October or if I have to bleed into November, December, will yet to be seen. And I have this little lovely checklist that I made to make sure I keep track of it. And in the back of that checklist I have my 2025 reading list developing, but that will not be discussed yet. I will probably discuss that more towards the end of the year as I continue to tweak that 2025 reading checklist. So this is a definite book that I'm going to be reading and finishing this quarter. I also will be, once autumn starts, autumn. once autumn starts, I will be starting or continuing with Adventures in Yarn Farming. 4 seasons on a New England fiber farm. And I believe we started in spring. Let me double check. I don't think we started. Yeah, we started in spring. So as soon as autumn starts, I'll go to the autumn section. Each season goes by really quickly for this book. And I've been trying to read it in the appropriate season. So I have to check when the first days of autumn is. I'll read that. Usually for each section it either has a recipe or it has a knitting pattern, something like that. So yeah, I think here's a lamb recipe here and a pesto recipe here. And I know I've seen at least 1 or 2 patterns in this book. So yeah, this has been a nice quick read for each season. It kind of keeps me, it's just nice to have something that sort of feels, I don't know, like you're kind of feeling the seasons a bit more with your reading, and kind of, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but it's been nice having that. Then I would really like to, actually before I go on to those, this, I should have never started it last month, but I did. I intended to read this as a library book, and I was looking at it even as a purchased Kindle book. And then it occurred to me, I'm pretty sure I have this book because I'm pretty sure I picked up most of Ross King's physical books I wanted to read about art. Now I do have a couple I think that I haven't picked up, but for the most part I picked up the ones I was interested in. So I looked through, because I didn't see it initially on my shelves, it was hiding, but I looked through all my different thrift books, eBay, Abe books, all the different places I tend to look on Amazon, all the different places where I tend to pick up used books. And I finally found it. My Bookseller of Florence, Ross King's author of Brunelleschi's Dome. So this is another one like the Great Bridge, which I might talk to the book, but it's not quite to the same extent. I have my tabs in the front and what they and the highlighters mean. I have my Gutenberg Press bookmark in there because that felt appropriate. And yeah, I have a feeling this is another one I'll pick up speed on now that I have finished Sophonisba. But I never should have started this halfway through September. I don't know what I was thinking. I got distracted. Okay, someone reading Framed in September mentioned Ross King. Whoever you are, it's your fault. Because you mentioned Ross King and it's like, I have Ross King books. I should check out my Ross King books. I enjoyed Michelangelo's Dome last year. And poof, I found a Ross King book and I picked it up. So your fault, whoever you were. No sense of self-responsibility, of course, but consequences of my own action. Your fault, not mine, somehow. Don't think about that too much. Anyway, other books that I would like to, well, I know I'm going to read. This one will probably not be finished during this quarter. I don't know when this one will be finished. I watch several other channels that are not booktube channels, and I think everyone does, but one of those channels that I follow, she said, hey guys, you know, she's a former English teacher, not really what she talks about on there, she talks about a variety of topics, but she's like, hey guys, I think that we should do a To Kill a Mockingbird read-along. And initially she was only going to do one group. I think it was Thursdays, but there was so much interest, she decided to do a second group on Tuesdays, and I got in on the second group. So we start our read-along on this coming Tuesday, and here's my copy of To Kill a Mockingbird. It is the 50th anniversary edition. I've only read this book, and not the specific one. I don't know where I read the original I don't know where I originally read To Kill a Mockingbird. It must have been a library book because I don't own it on Kindle and I don't own it physically. So I know I read it, but I don't own it. So I picked up To Kill a Mockingbird. I figured because we're doing a group discussion, I want to have the ability to write in the book. And I thought it was really cool. She's definitely very into this book. She owns multiple editions of it, I believe including this edition. And she has a comic book which apparently exists. And while she was talking to us, someone texted her because her birthday was coming up and was like, hey, is this the large print version that you want of To Kill a Mockingbird? So it just happened to be that she got a text message about getting yet another version of To Kill a Mockingbird. And 5 seconds before that, she was just talking about how she needed to get a large print version. So it was just kind of funny. But what's going to make this take a while is we're all going to be reading, like the two groups will be reading at their separate speeds. And we will be reading together while we're on Zoom and having the commentary there, which will be cool because most of the times, from what I understand, I've never been in a book club, but a lot of times what I understand, people know that they have a set amount to read and they come and discuss. And that they can sometimes get derailed and go off on other topics because, you know, people do that. But because we will be reading together, it will go at the pace of the discussion, which shall be interesting. I anticipate that there will be some interesting discussions about this book simply because of the topic matter. I first was exposed to this story through, of course, the movie version with... Why can't I? I have him in my head and I absolutely love him as an actor. Gregory Peck. Don't know why I lost him because I love him in Scarlet and Black too, which I read that book last year. But yeah, that was my exposure to the story. And as I recall, sorry, I have an itch there. As I recall, I didn't quite enjoy the book quite as much as I had the Gregory Peck movie, but I've only read the book once. For whatever reason, it wasn't a required reading for me in school, which I think it should be required reading. So having an English teacher, a former English teacher, she's retired now, going through the book with us and us having it in a discussion format while we are reading, I think will be highly beneficial, and I'm really looking forward to that. And like I said, it'll be Tuesdays until who knows when, till we finish the book, whenever that might be, because I anticipate it taking a little while. Then other books I'd like to finish, but I don't know if I will finish before the end of the year. I'm just going to move this book over here. There we go. I would really like to finish Les Mis. I mentioned it briefly when I was mentioning the Oxford World Classics. I told myself I could not start Crime and Punishment until I finished Les Mis. I'm not as worried about finishing my annotated Sense and Sensibility in any given time. I've been reading and rereading Austen very consistently. I'm not in a rush to finish my annotated Sense and Sensibility, but I would really like to finish my unabridged Les Mis. I've never read the unabridged version till now, and I am not quite yet at the infamous Waterloo tangent, which from what I understand is quite a tangent. So yes, you see how far along. I'm at a pivotal part in the story. I am quite familiar with the story between the fact that I loved the Les Mis that I had read previous. It was, I didn't know at the time, it was an abridged version. This is the unabridged version. And I also really love the musical. Not the way that Hugh Jackman's movie handled it. That was awful. They should have never had that casting for Javert. A travesty. But my favorite cast that I've seen with Les Mis has been the 10th anniversary cast. Yes, I know that is a concert, but you got Lea Salogna as Eponine. You have Colm Wilkinson, I know I said that name wrong, as Jean Valjean. I love the singer that they got for Javert. Very emotive, and also just voice is wonderful. Anyway, because I've listened to and re-listened to and re-listened to and re-watched aspects of that musical so many times, when I'm reading parts of the book, I will hear sometimes the music in my head and the cadence, particularly Colm Wilkinson, who has an interesting cadence. I will hear it in my head when I'm reading, and it really makes me appreciate how well they handled the translation of this story to the musical, because it's not going to be perfect when you transfer such a large story to a musical format. Things are going to be lost, things are going to be adjusted, but especially early on in the story, things are being handled quite well. The emotion and the gravitas of what's going on, the heart of what's going on, has been very well captured by the musical, and it's just really nice to see that in the rereading of Les Mis, even though I know that I'm about to go off on the Waterloo tangent pretty soon. So I hope to finish this. Another book that I started when I probably shouldn't have, when I should have been rereading Les Mis, but I started after I finished The Silmarillion. I started Unfinished Tales of Numenor and Middle-earth. And I am about here. I am still on tour and is coming to Gondolin. There are beautiful pictures in here. It's one of my very many beautiful copies I got of Tolkien books when I was starting to pick up my Tolkien books. So, oh, look at this one. It's a dragon. So yes, making my way through this, I think one of my favorite parts, even though it's a small detail, is a tour. He's kind of wandered away. He's going by the sea and he sees swans, and the quote is something like, "Tour loves swans," so he went and he chased the swans. It's like, how adorable is that? I mean, I know it would end up having a purpose in the story, but all I could think is, Tour loves swans. It's like, that's cool, dude. You're so cute. I mean, swans are beautiful, but it was just adorable. To me, that was just a nice little touch. But yeah, for whatever reason, the Tour loved swans just struck me a certain way. I just like, I love this. Already. Now, I already was inclined to like Tour better than Turin. Turin, yes, there was the curse on the children of Hurin, but Turin still made his choices that are based in pride and arrogance and those things that even outside of any curse that I believe was it Sauron? Saruman? No, Sauron. I don't know why I said Saruman. I'm pretty sure it was Sauron who placed it on Hurin. Anyway, in spite of the curse placed on Hurin's children, Turin did make the choices that led to his fate, and the poor outcomes that he knows. Everything that happened to him was a result of his choices, of his pride, of his arrogance. Whereas you have an opposite sort of character in Tuor, who I like much more, and just small details like he loves swans. It's just, I don't know. I just got a kick out of that. So I'd like to finish that, even though with that there is no rush. Now, books that I'd like, the 3 books that I definitely would like to read this quarter that I have not started yet. I have The Last Battle, when US and German soldiers joined forces in the waning hours of World War II in Europe. And I accidentally picked up a Smithsonian Institute autographed copy. I did not know that it was an autographed copy when I picked it up, so that was kind of cool. I heard about this story first from the Wendigoon channel. He tends to talk about like conspiracy theories, weird historical stories, and he tends to talk about like creepy stories. I don't tend to watch his creepy stories. Every once in a while I watch his fun conspiracy ones, and I enjoy his fun history ones. And he recommended this book. This was one of his sources. And yeah, this just seems like it's a cool story, one of those things that you just don't hear about. And it looks like it'll be a quick read. So that one is one of my planned quarter reads. Another one, I'm not sure what I was looking for that I ended up falling down this rabbit hole. Maybe I was looking for the J.R.R. Tolkien biography, which I do intend to read. I've been intending to read this for a while. And this is the one that like everyone, when they mention facts about Tolkien on TolkienTube, they will mention this Humphrey Carpenter biography of J.R.R. Tolkien. So this seems to be the definitive Tolkien biography. So I hope to read that. The other book I didn't run into this because of looking for Tolkien books. I was looking for books, I think on the history of words or something like that. Oh, I know. I was looking for reference books, different kinds of reference books. And because of that, I accidentally found this book, The Ring of Words, Tolkien and the Oxford English Dictionary. It's a little known fact that after the Great War, J.R.R. Tolkien's first job was as an assistant on the Oxford English Dictionary, yet the experience proved to be of enormous significance for his subsequent endeavors, literary as well as academic. He later said of it, "I learned more in those 2 years than in any equal period of my life." So this is very exciting to me. I was not aware of his work on the Oxford English Dictionary. This was a chance find. I'm super excited about it. It doesn't look like it's a long book. And it is one of my definite intended reads for this quarter. And I do have a whole list of possible reads, but those are the ones that have top priority. Now, some of the other ones I was thinking about is the Anatomist. No, Anatomy. So Anatomist. That's terribly pronounced. I know that's wrong. Anatomist. Maybe that's how it's pronounced. By Bill B. Hayes. And I can't remember what drew me to that exactly, but it is fairly high up on my list, and it'll be a book I borrowed from Libby, Kindle book. The other one that I've been wanting to read, I doubt I'll get it in this quarter, but I have it marked as potential anyway, is Uncrowned King: The Life of Prince Albert by Stanley Weintraub? I think it's Weintraub. Oh, Gangsters vs. Nazis by Michael Benson. The Woman Who Wasn't There by Robin Gabby Fisher and Angelo J. Oh, good heavens. Guglielmo. Said that wrong. Dr. Icepick by Claire Prentice. We'll All Be Murdered in Our Beds by Duncan Campbell, which apparently is about the rise in crime reporting during I got the impression that it actually takes place during this course, like 1800s-ish onward. So that looks interesting. Honestly, the title is what grabbed me. I mean, we'll all be murdered in our beds is just such a great title. Actually sounds like it should be a title for like an Agatha Christie era mystery, because they used to come up with the coolest titles. That should help with some of my tongue-tiedness. And the final one I have on my list of possibilities, like I said, I don't anticipate getting past the ones that I have right in front of me, but I have Writing with Scissors by Ellen Gruber Garvey. And this is a book, first of all, I love the title, but it's a book about scrapbooking during the Civil War and about how they use newspaper clippings, etc. And it just, like I said, the title was the full grabber, but I was also looking for more craft-oriented history books, because for a while I was doing videos more with a theme. Here's the craft books, here's the whatever. I might go back to doing that a bit, but I'm a little bit more mix and match right now. I'm tending to do reviews for individual books by themselves in an attempt to make shorter videos. That being said, I don't know how long this video is running, so I will be wrapping this up pretty soon. I also have on the back of this as, you know, suggestions for reading. It's stuff from the coffee break book tag. Not sure if it had another title. I think it did, but it was tagged by Heather Reeds, and she had different things about titles, and she was using it as a way to get through her book stash, for life, not stash, the book she already had. So it was, for one thing, I discovered books that I had that I'd forgotten that I had while I was looking through for different fun titles, and I have a list here of ones I want to make it through. I think she had it until December 3rd, 2025, so I set that as a soft goal for myself as well, but it includes some of the books by some of the quick, easy books I've been wanting to read as well, like Christiana Brand or Ronald Knox, E.C.R. Lorac, although I didn't really enjoy the last E.C.R. Lorac book I read. I liked it as it built up, and then I felt like it dropped at the end. Like, I felt like it kind of was trying to be too clever, and then it didn't wrap it up well, which is highly disappointing because I felt like it could have been better done. I also have an Ellis Peters book, and if you remember Ellis Peters is known for Brother Cadfael, but this one's not Brother Cadfael, it's Black is the Color of My True Love's Heart, which is kind of a fun title. So I have a bunch of books here that I intend to read over the period of a couple of years, but that list is back here. Some of those books made it to this end of quarter list. I had mentioned that here's my David McCullough read-along, but the Great Bridge kind of got to the bottom of the pile. This is the last David McCullough this year because it's supposed to finish in October, but it can be carried through to the November-December break. So this will be the last David McCullough I read this year. And then next year I start up again with The Path Between the Seas, The Creation of the Panama Canal, 1870 to 1914. Ooh, that's 1 month for that. That's 690. Oh, I'm sorry. It is January and February. Okay, good, because that's 698 pages. But Mornings on Horseback after that is 445. And that's a Teddy Roosevelt book, but thankfully there's a break after that. So technically it's kind of a 2-month thing anyway. But yeah, so those are the list of books that I intend to read this coming quarter. I'm really looking forward to getting some older books, finished on their way, and reading some of these newer books for this coming quarter. While I have interest in all the different quarters, I don't know, I just find some things interesting in different quarters. I don't know, there's just so much cool history out there. I'm not going to even say which quarter I prefer because I'm not sure if I actually do have a preferred quarter. I find something cool in every quarter. So yeah, right now my lead into this quarter does seem to be highly Tolkien, which was not intended, but it just sort of happened that way. Who knows, maybe Lost Museum will slip in there. Who knows? I only have a few very set reads, but yeah, that's it. Hope that you enjoyed this very rambly collection, this very rambling discussion of books for this coming quarter. And yeah, what are you intending to read this quarter? I think most of the people who watch me have their own booktube channels, but if you don't, sound off in the comments of what you are looking forward to read for the rest of the year. Thank you very much for joining me. Hope that you have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time. God bless. Bye.